Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I'm talking about TikTok. Now, if you're not familiar with TikTok, we're going to dive into that because the US government just launched a national security review of TikTok's parent company, Beijing ByteDance Technology Company. Basically, they had a $1 billion acquisition of the social media platform Musical.ly, and basically this is coming from Reuters, who was interviewing people pretty much off the record. Now, this $1 billion acquisition was actually done 2 years ago, and just now are US lawmakers calling, basically in the last couple of weeks or so, for a national security probe into TikTok. They are concerned that the Chinese company may be censoring politically sensitive content, raising questions about how it stores personal data, and I will be getting into this. Last week, U.S. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Tom Cotton, who I believe is a Republican and Schumer is a Democrat, so it's bipartisan, asked for a national security probe. They said, and according to Reuters, and I quote, they were concerned about the video sharing platform's collection of user data and whether China censors content seen by U.S. users. They also suggested TikTok could be targeted by foreign influence campaigns. And I quote, with over 110 million downloads in the US alone, TikTok is a potential counterintelligence threat we cannot ignore. Now, Schumer and Cotton basically wrote this to Joseph Maguire, who is the acting director of national intelligence. Now, with that, we have to talk about the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, or CFIUS, which reviews deals by foreign acquirers for potential national security risks, and they are starting to look at the Musical.ly deal, according to sources that Reuters has. TikTok did not seek clearance from CFIUS when they acquired Musical.ly, and that gives the U.S. Basically the ability, the U.S. panel for CFIUS to actually start looking at this. Now, CFIUS is currently in talks with TikTok about measures that they could take to avoid divesting the Musical.ly assets that they acquired. This, again, according to sources at Reuters, and details of those talks referred to by CFIUS as mitigation could not be learned. Basically, there's a whole bunch of rules about as foreign companies are going through purchases, they're not actually allowed to discuss this outside of CFIUS. Oftentimes, these are very sensitive negotiations. But this has actually been going on for a while. In October, basically a few weeks ago or so, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida basically asked CFIUS to review ByteDance's acquisition of Musical.ly, and he cited questions about why TikTok had, and I quote, only had a few videos of the Hong Kong protests that had been dominating international headlines for months, obviously underscoring sensitivity. Now, I am absolutely thrilled to see this. Full disclosure, I actually wrote an article for Michael Smerconish of CNN, basically called China is Destroying Our Future Leaders, and it is exactly about this problem that we have here. Well, I think Senators Schumer, Cotton, and Rubio are absolutely right to look at this as a national security threat in terms of censorship, possibly foreign influence, in terms of delivering, let's say, fake news or fake information for the 2020 campaign. In my article, I take a much longer view of what TikTok and platforms that are solely Chinese owned but very popular in the United States can do. The Chinese are very heavy data miners. They collect absolutely a ton of information. Now, think about this. When you have kids, let's say age 13 to 17 years old, doing stupid things on TikTok or Musical.ly, which basically allows them to create a video of themselves doing things, sometimes to music, sometimes kids being kids will do very risque things, and then they will put it out on TikTok. The Chinese government has the ability to copy that, replicate that, and store that information. So if we have, let's say, a 13-year-old or 15-year-old kid that 20, 30 years from now is going to be a congressperson or a senator or a CEO, with vested competitive interest in China, these videos could come back to haunt him or her. And this is something that the Chinese is very good at, which is playing the long game. And so I think we have a very serious issue about where our data goes. If your kids are using TikTok, and this is typically the generation that is under 25 years old right now, understand that anything they're doing at that is not being stored in the United States alone. It can be replicated to China, And ByteDance, Beijing ByteDance Technology Company, has very deep ties with the Chinese government. We need to understand where our data is going. This is a very serious issue, and I am incredibly glad to see 3 senators on both sides of the aisle in a bipartisan effort bringing up the same concerns and issues. Not just about censorship, not just about foreign influence. Both of those things are absolutely national security risks, but think about the long term. Think about what this looks like in 2040 or 2050 or beyond that, when we have a whole new generation trying to assume control and power in both business and government. And I think that's something we need to be aware of. Technology, like pictures, videos, and all this kind of stuff, is here to stay. And we've heard the old adage, if you put it on the internet, it can't be erased. I think the Chinese government is starting to prove that. So that is your news of the day. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Obviously, my tinfoil hat is a little big on this subject, but quite frankly, it's very easy to replicate, store, and then use data against somebody in any which way, shape, or form. We can look at things like revenge porn and other stuff as very serious issues with this. So it's not above the realm of possibility that a government could strategically use this against a possible competitor in the future, storing it for long-term potential gain for their end. So take that for what it's worth, but that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me on YouTube as well. And always stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.